Today on Zola Levitt Presents.
Abraham saw the glory of God over this mountain and came up here in obedience to the Lord to sacrifice Isaac, but God stopped him. Looking down through the corridors of time from before the foundation of the world, he knew that there was a greater sacrifice to come. It would be the sacrifice of his son Yeshua, Yeshua HaMashiach.
For Zion's sake, I will not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake, I will not rest, until her righteousness goes forth as brightness, and her salvation as a lamp that burns. Zion forever.
Wow. Talk about location, location, location. We are at the epicenter of the earth. We are at ground zero of the purposes of God in the earth for all time. We are in Jerusalem, with the Dome of the Rock behind us and the future in front of us.
Absolutely. You know, Jerusalem is plural in Hebrew. It means the Jerusalem above and the Jerusalem here on this temporal plane. You know, to be able to understand Jerusalem, you can't look at it in the temporal. You have to look through it, through eternal eyes. You have to see what God is seeing, and that He is about to have His eternal throne come down out of heaven and establish His eternal rule and reign right here.
Exactly so. We know now that this is Hamakom. It is the place. The Jewish people are praying for the rebuilding of the temple, the Christians looking for Messiah Yeshua, and the Muslims believing that this is their third most holy place in the earth. But we know the reality is that the ultimate Makom, the ultimate place, is in the heart of God, in the person of Yeshua HaMashiach. You know, God is going to recover what David saw, but what he was not allowed to build. Right. Solomon built it, then Herod built it, then there will be a millennial temple, and before that there will be a tribulation temple. God is going to be exalted in this place as He said He would, going all the way back to the time of Abraham and forward to Moses and then into David's life as well.
You know, I love it how the archaeologists say that there is no doubt that there was a Jewish presence. Well, we know it because we believe the Bible, and it says that literally over Solomon's temple there was the glory of God, and we who are believers get to be in on this. So we just encourage you to understand where you're going and to understand what the purpose of what Hamakom is all about, the place.
You know, 2 Corinthians 4:18 tells us that we don't walk by sight. We don't look at the temporary. If we look at that, we will lose our way. We need to interpret things through the eternal, through what is not seen. You may see the Golden Dome now, but think about it. Back in the time of the Crusaders, you'd see a Christian cross on that Golden Dome, sitting on Roman pillars on Jewish land. The Messiah's throne is going to be there once again. And when it is, living waters will come from the temple and flow down to the Dead Sea, making it alive. This is going to have a new look, folks. It's looking like this for now, but it will have a new look in the centuries to come. You know, it's been said that Israel is 85 miles wide, but 50 centuries deep. And we're certainly seeing that in this series. The evidence that comes up out of the ground, and it's only just begun. There's so much more that is going to come. The archaeologists, they say that there's decades and decades ahead of what they need to find.
Well, it's a matter of funds, having enough funds to be able to do, because they do it so precise. You know, they don't want to disturb any of the ancient treasures that are there, and God really has saved treasures, and I believe that He saved them even just specifically for certain times that we're in, just to counteract the lies of the world and replacement theology.
Yes, you know, there's an orthodoxy in Islam that has a different eschatology. That's a fancy way of saying there's a different view of the end times from Islam than there is from the Bible. the Bible's is correct. It is true. It is what is going to happen. But there is an eschatology that it's banging against that comes out of the Quran that has to do with some very destructive and very difficult times. The reality is, though, that we know from Scripture that God will win.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, there's a biblical reality, and then there's, like you said, the Islam reality, and we know that God's reality will triumph. So it's funny, it's not funny, but it's very, very, very serious what will happen. In Isaiah 60, verse 14, it talks about the sons that have afflicted the Jewish people, and that they will come and bow down. Why don't you read that for us, Myles?
I will. The sons of those who afflicted you will come bowing down to you, and all those who despised you will fall at the soles of your feet. They will call you the city of our Lord, Zion, the Holy One of Israel. And there's something about the connection of this Jewish history, Jewish Jerusalem. Another interesting thing is that right now, one of the levels of discovery in this 50 centuries of depth is the first century. And so there's all this corroboration of the Gospels, of the truth of Jesus coming out right now. I remember one of our first tours, we went to this new site where the wedding of Cana most likely took place. And so there's verification coming that Jesus is alive, was alive, and will be back. And so now let's go to Eli Shukron, one of the main archaeologists, very involved with the unearthing of the most recent treasures in Israel. Let's go there now.
Okay, we're in the road that lead the pilgrim from the pool all the way to the temple. This is a special road, the Pilgrim Road, that built here before 2,000 years ago. And the people was walking, after they purify themselves in the pool, they start to walk to the temple. We're talking about stairs that found just before a couple of years. And this is a very, very special design that we know it close to Hulda Gate, the main gate into the temple. We know it also a special kind of stairs. What we have here, small one, big one. On that stairs, the people was walking to the temple before 2,000 years ago. In the excavation, I found a lot of things. For example, what we found in the excavation, we found a bulla. We found a bulla, it's a piece of clay with inscription from the first temple period that mentioned the name Bethlehem. First time we know the name Bethlehem outside of the Bible. No one did excavation in Bethlehem site ever to find where it was the family of King David was living. No one found that, no one know where is it, but now we have a proof about that place that connects it to the family of King David. We know that the name of Bethlehem is real. It's a real city in that time. Also, when I did the excavation in the tunnels, I found a bell, a gold bell. Was using a gold bell? The high priest was using a gold bell on his coat, 72 gold bell on his coat. This is the first one and the only one that found in Jerusalem before 2,000 years ago that may be connected to the high priest that was in the temple in that time. Also, we talk about the temple, and talking about the Temple Mount, and talking about the temple before 2,000 years ago. But to go into the temple, you must get a permission. You making a ritual bath. You have a rule. You must be pure. Who check you? Who know that you really did the real mikveh, the real, you purify yourself by real? Who check you? So, to know what is going on in the temple work, we know that to go into the temple, we have a gate. In that gate, there's a guard. And you can't go into the temple because you want to go to the temple. So you must be in the rule. To be in the rule, there's someone need to check you. And after he check you, he give you a ticket. So I found one of that ticket, the only one that found in the excavation that tell us about how it's working when you're coming to the temple. You must to check before you go into the temple. And in that ticket, it's mentioned purity to God. If you are purity to God, you can allow to go into the temple, to worship into the temple. If you are not purity to God, stay outside of the temple. There's a guard, they check you. This is the way how the people was live in Jerusalem, how the people was going to the temple, how it was walking in the temple before 2,000 years ago in the time of Jesus.
our resource on this program, Zion Forever on DVD. For your donation, you'll receive all 9 programs which look back into history and forward into prophecy concerning the Temple Mount. From the sacrifice of Isaac to the Jewish temple till today, you'll see Jewish heritage confirmed by archaeology. Call 1-800-WONDERS and ask for the Zion Forever DVD or visit us at levitt.com. If you value what we do here at Zola Levitt Ministries, please remember to support our work as you're able. We have 3 ways you can do that. You can write us a check at Zola Levitt Ministries, Post Office Box 12268, Dallas, Texas 75225. Or you can go to our website at levitt.com and click on the Donation tab. And you can always call us at 1-800-WONDERS. And as always, thank you very much.
On behalf of all of the Zola Levitt family, we want to thank you for supporting us and giving us the privilege of bringing you these messages from the heart of God, the very epicenter of the world, Jerusalem.
That's great. You know, we really couldn't do this without your partnership. We're going to be hearing from Shimon Gibson, the author of The Final Days of Jesus, the archaeological evidence. We're also going to hear from Hannah Ben Haim, premier tour guide and a great spokeswoman for the gospel of Yeshua, and also Shahar Shilo. Let's go to him first because he's going to take us back 10 centuries before the birth of Jesus.
About 160 years of archaeology taking place right now, and as we see around us, there's a village. Jerusalem has enlarged and really in a very small condensed territory. We have excavated, I assume, something like in between 6 to 7% of what there is to find. So your grandsons and my future grand-grandsons will still have work to do and may come and shoot a film in about 100 years because things are coming to, just appear and pop up from the ground at any given time.
Tell us about the most exciting find you've been part of or you've seen.
Well, I should say these are the biblical impressions which are bearing biblical names that we know from the book of Jeremiah that comes out from the ground down here underneath our feet right now in the city of David, bearing names of high-rank officials from the kingdom of Synagogues, for instance. The second thing which was really astonishing for me was the thing we just started up 3 months ago. We just reopened a new site to the public, which is the Canaanite fortress mentioned in the book of Genesis, chapter 14, verse 18, as the place of Melchizedek when he hosts Abraham.
Wow.
This place today is actually open to the public. We will be celebrating its renewal in about 2 days from now.
It's amazing. And the history of David here, 1,000 years before Christ, 3,000 years ago, he established this as the capital of Jerusalem. And yet today, people are saying he didn't exist or he wasn't here. I think at Tel Dan there was a major find also regarding David.
So there are huge amounts of findings related to the 10th century BCE. As a scholar, as a historian, I should be very careful because we're walking on a thin ice here. 10th century BCE has its problems. We yet fail to show a lot of evidence from the 10th century BCE. We have huge amounts of them from the 9th century BCE and on. Wow. Now, in order for the house of David to be established, there should be a David. If you find a piece of clay bearing the name, the house of David, that means David had to die in order to establish a dynasty after his name. Which, again, this is what you mentioned from Tel Dan. There are other findings related to the Israeli kingdom, to the Jewish kingdom, from the 10th or from the end of the 10th century BCE, should I say, and beginning of the 9th. Yet, from the 10th century BCE, we didn't find a visiting card of King Solomon or King David. It doesn't mean we're not keeping on looking, right, but there's huge amounts of biblical stuff coming out of the ground. I think there's no doubt in the world of scholars today about the existence of the biblical city of David here. Yes. Yet we are still waiting for, the great stuff to come out from the 10th century BCE.
One of the discoveries which was made here in the city of David is this Greek inscription carved into a block of stone. It was found by Weil at the beginning of the 20th century. Now, this inscription is very important because it tells us something about Jerusalem, the approach that people took to the temple and to the institution known as the synagogue. Now, the focus of Jewish religion was, of course, the house of God, the temple, which is on top of the Mount of Moriah. And all Jewish pilgrims would come for the festivities, primarily Passover, and to sacrifice in the temple. The institution known as the synagogue, the Jewish synagogue, is believed by scholars to be something that was in use after the destruction of Jerusalem in the year 70 by the Romans. But this inscription dates from before the destruction of Jerusalem. So it tells us that the synagogue existed beforehand. The idea was that the synagogue, which is in Greek synagogus, in Hebrew Beit HaKnesset, which means the place where people could gather, was really a kind of municipal building, or a kind of place where people could gather and discuss weddings, their sewage system problems. There could be some sort of teaching of children within that institution, maybe even a little bit of study of the Torah, the holy books. But still, the place where you went to worship and sacrifice was in the Jewish temple. So this is a very important inscription. It tells us about the synagogue, and it tells us also, there's a detailed description here, that this was a place where people who came from a great distance could stay here. So it was almost like an inn. And this meant that Jewish pilgrims who came to Jerusalem would be able to stay in this building, which was located in this vicinity. And that then connects us to the Jesus story, because Jesus, of course, found it very difficult to place himself and his disciples within the city. They went to the upper room in order to have the Last Supper together. But then afterwards, they had to exit from the city just from the gate behind us at this place, and then along the valley to Gethsemane, which saw then the place where Jesus was up to the point where he was then taken by Pontius Pilate's soldiers to the house of Caiaphas.
Zion is an ancient word. And what does it originally mean? It means a place like a little shoot growing out of nowhere, a dry place. And when we look at even Isaiah 53, the picture of the Messiah himself is something that you would have walked by, something despised, like what is that little shoot doing there? That is actually the essence of the word Zion. Later on, it becomes even a Hebrew word. It's not just the name of the place, but inside the word excellence, for instance, in Hebrew, we have the word Zion. And in the verb letzayen, it means to make a sign, to put a signpost up, to help you find the place you're going to. So Zion is something you would have walked by if you didn't understand the heart of David himself and the heart of God.
Your financial contributions to Zola Levitt Ministries enable us to bring you our weekly television series, our monthly newsletter, and our website. But you may not know that your gift of funds also makes a difference in Israel through our support of the Jerusalem Archaeology Fund, Bridges for Peace, and the Lone Soldier Fund. We welcome your donations to Zola Levitt Ministries as we serve together until the Messiah returns.
For insightful perspectives on Israel and Bible prophecy, ask for our free monthly newsletter, The Levitt Letter. At levitt.com, you can read the newsletter, watch the TV program, or visit our online store. Stay current with us on social media via Facebook and Twitter. Come with us on a tour of Israel or Petra, or a cruise of the Greek Isles. Please contact us for more information.
We would love to host you on a pilgrimage to Israel. It is a life-changing experience. You know, we hear over and over again from people that they had no idea about the connection with the land and how the word comes alive. And I know people like to hear from us, you know, we understand that, but we want to partner with the body in the land. So our guides are Hebrew speakers, they're Messianic. Many of them, they read the Bible in Hebrew and they bring it to us in English in a way that is so rich and so directly related to what
Well,
God
as a
rules.
believer, I believe that it's a pilgrimage that it's our privilege if we have the ability to come to take part in what God is doing. He's fulfilling His word. We're seeing it come alive. It's not just a vacation, it's an impartation. And it's something that we will never forget. And I've never heard one person regret going to the Holy Land, God's land, the city of our God. You know, we're going to go now from the city of David. Let's go north to hear from our man in Haifa, Eitan Shishkov.
Shalom, just up the coast from where we're sitting right now, in fact, at the top end of the Haifa Bay is a city called Akko. Sometimes you'll read about it with its French name, Acre. And Akko, actually, in the Bible times and in ancient times before the first century, was really the target on this Haifa Bay. In fact, then it was called the Akko Bay, not the Haifa Bay. Haifa didn't exist. At most, there were a few people fishing there. But Akko was a place where empire after empire landed, major ships with soldiers and with equipment in order to establish a beachhead here in the Middle East. The Romans built quite an impressive harbor there, and until today you can see the pilings that are down underneath the water, which constituted the foundation of that harbor. Now, Akko also has a place in the scriptures, and it's given a little bit different name, but I'd like to read this verse to you. It's in Acts chapter 21 and verse 7. When we had finished our voyage from Tyre, we came to Ptolemais, which is the word that then meant Akko, greeted the brethren and stayed with them one day. On the next day, we who were Paul's companions departed and came to Caesarea, or Caesarea, as it's known in Hebrew. It's interesting that there was a house group, apparently, that met in Akko during the time of Paul in the book of Acts. And from one house group in this century, 20 centuries later, we now were able to establish a full-on Messianic Jewish congregation in Akko that's it's going until today. In fact, I just attended the bar mitzvah of the leader's son there, where he read from the Torah and proclaimed his faith in Yeshua as the Messiah. So as ancient as Akko is, God has not lost interest in that city. It's a mixed city, one of the most mixed of Arab and Jewish Israelis in all of Israel today. And I want to really enlist your prayers for greater activity of the Spirit of God to take place in Akko, in Kiryat Yam, along this coast, in Haifa, and into the Galilee, where I believe the great move of God's Spirit will begin, that will eventually bring the Messiah back to Israel. Toda Rabah. Thank you so much.
We've heard the love story. We've seen that this goes all the way back to creation. Right behind me, on the Temple Mount, is Even HaShetiyah, the foundation stone. The rabbis say man was created there and then placed in the garden to the east. Abraham saw the glory of God over this mountain and came up here in obedience to the Lord to sacrifice Isaac, but God stopped him. Looking down through the corridors of time from before the foundation of the world, he knew that there was a greater sacrifice to come. It would be the sacrifice of his son Yeshua, Yeshua HaMashiach. We know now that the tabernacle in the wilderness, the Mishkan, would not suffice. Beit HaMikdash, the temple, even the temple, would not suffice, because Solomon told us in 2 Chronicles 6:18 that God could not be contained in a house made of stone and cedar and gold. He's greater than his creation. He's always been greater than his creation and always will be. Solomon built here. Herod built here. There will be a tribulation temple here and a millennial temple here. But God said that he would establish the throne of David, and David's seed would always rule from this place. And we know that that seed is the root of Jesse, from the tribe of Judah, Yeshua HaMashiach, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He came first as a lamb, but he's returning as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. Born a Jew, died a Jew, coming back as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. We understand that Islam is on the rise. There's contention for this place. Location, location, location. Epicenter, ground zero, the center of the earth right behind me. But there's going to come a change to this area. There will be a day when there will not be that gold dome, but rather it will become again the place where the God of creation is worshipped. And the Gentiles, the nations, will come up to worship at the time of Sukkot, at the time of Tabernacles. Fresh water will flow from these mountains down to the Dead Sea and make them alive. It's a story of hope, and we want to leave you with a word of hope. This prayer goes back to the time of Moses and Aaron. God told Moses to have Aaron stand before the people and bless them in this way. And whenever this prayer is prayed, he would put his name on everyone who heard. So we send you out with peace. Yivarecha Adonai v'yismarecha. Ya'eh Adonai panav alecha v'yichonecha. Yisah Adonai panav alecha v'yisem lecha. Shalom. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord be gracious unto you, cause his face to shine upon you, and grant you his shalom. And remember, Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim.
Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim. Sha'alu Shalom Shalom. For the holy city of Jerusalem, we will pray for peace, Shalom, Shalom. In the holy mountain in Jerusalem, take thy son, thine only son. Slay him there and show me in Jerusalem of thy faith that God is one. Oh my God, my only son, but ask of me, and it is done. For in thy mercy, for in thy name, I know for me, you'll do the same. In that holy mountain in Jerusalem, take his son, his only son. Slay him there and tell the world, Jerusalem, of thy faith that it is done. For it is done, we have the Son, the Blessed One, his only Son. Believe on him, and it is done, and always pray, Shalom, Shalom. Sha'alu Shalom Yerushalayim. Sha'alu Shalom Shalom. In the holy city of Jerusalem, we will pray for peace. Shalom Shalom.
Our monthly newsletter, The Levitt Letter, is free and full of insightful articles and news commentary from a messianic perspective. Visit levitt.com to find our newsletter, along with current and past programs, our television schedule, and much more.
Don't forget to order this week's resource by calling 1-800-WONDERS, or you can purchase it from our catalog at levitt.com.
Your donations to Zola Levitt Ministries help these organizations bless Israel. Please remember, Zola Levitt Ministries depends on tax-deductible donations from viewers like you. This has been a paid program by Zola Levitt Ministries.